How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A stream. Today we're joined with Mod Delta.
Hi.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Myself, Mod Archie. And Mod Serene.
Hello.
And I believe we had Mod Kieren, but I think he's called in sick today, so I don't know. It looks like he's not going to tune in for today's stream.
Can't get the stuff.
So, guys, howdy, partners. I'm here. Yeehaw! There ain't enough room in this streaming room for the 5 of us.
All right.
Let's pretend that didn't happen and move on swiftly.
Kieren, context. I think you lost a bet. Is that it?
No, I just chose to do this for my own good.
So, Kieren, who was it? Somebody tweeted out that they were going to attempt the Inferno without using any pillars.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout him out?
Yeah, so Lake OSRS, I don't know what his Twitch URL is. He was doing no pillar Inferno runs, and I was pretty impressed by someone actually managing to do this. He hadn't done it yet, so I basically somebody suggested the challenge of, I say yeehaw on stream if he manages to do it. So I gave him the ultimatum of, if he does it by this stream, I'll do a yeehaw on stream. And he successfully did it, which is pretty mind-blowing to me, to be honest.
Great run.
Considering when you look at launch of Inferno, and that no one could do it, and now someone's done it without even using the pillars.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
So why have you got the hat?
Well, see, this spiraled out of control. I was all well and good for the yeehaw, and then all of a sudden, the PVM clan Oblivion decided, you know what, we're going to use a bit of our clan funds, and they decided to send me an Amazon Prime package with a hat and a toy gun, but I thought we shouldn't bring the toy gun on stream after we talked about it.
Don't need guns in RuneScape.
And gift wrapped as well.
It was all gift wrapped as well. Had a nice little message saying, love from Oblivion PVM, yeehaw in it.
Okay.
Addressed to Mod Kieren. This is my replacement.
It's much more RuneScapey, I think.
This is like the best intro to a Q&A. All right. Fantastic, guys. So we have plenty of questions to get through. We also have some exciting content to show you around the halfway point. That includes Wilderness Wars. We're going to give you a sneak peek of the events that we're hosting this weekend at Insomnia 61, just to show you what it looks like, what you can expect to see, obviously, on a smaller scale. And then we're also previewing some of the updates to come from tomorrow. Now, before I get into the questions today, I have a reminder, because I told myself I was going to ask this question, and I totally forgot. So, I'm Marksman asks, thoughts on bow fishing. So it would give agility, range, and fishing experience, and you would fish with a bow.
Is that like shooting fish in a barrel, literally only in the sea?
Yes.
Cool.
So, I suppose the question there is, you kill the fish, do you get it back? Does the arrow come back? Like, do you pull it on a string?
What's the point?
We have Avis.
That's
Get
my
range
question.
experience. Huh?
And get a bit of range XP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting, but
If you can find an interesting way for it to fit into the game, it makes a bit more sense. Like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily to fit it in with all the rest of the fishing, but perhaps it's a new type of spot. Like barb fishing, where you do it in a completely different way.
Let's get a straw poll in the chat.
yeah, I'd agree with that.
First question,
Like
straw poll.
I don't know, fishing spot you can't reach with the conventional method or something like
Yeah. I mean, everyone's always sort of
Fishing with range.
talked about the idea of going on a ship out to sea and actually fishing at sea, and maybe then you could use a different tool.
Like a kind of ship-mounted harpoon launcher.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
that would be quite cool.
that would be fun.
we're talking more on like a ballista scale, or
But if it's on a ship and
Maybe-
think about like whaling.
So you know
Which is
that
a horrible
don't want
thing,
that.
by the way.
you know the part of Morning's End Part 1 where you get that bazooka and you got to try and aim it at the sheep. How about you need to aim at fish with that?
Okay.
And
what we're going to try to get in the chat for you is a straw poll asking your thoughts on fishing with ranged. So just using a bow, getting range experience, fishing experience, and I think agility experience. So we'll get your thoughts on that, I suppose. But apart from that, we'll move on to the questions. Oh, last thing I wanted to mention is we're doing a massive Fossil Island live stream next week. I believe we're looking at 3 to 5 p.m. BST, so 2 hours before our traditional Q&A streams will be hosted.
so that will not be long after high noon, right?
Okay. That's just going to be Fossil Island content because there's so much to show.
It just occurred to me, I'm not sure you can fish for whales because they're mammals.
Fair play.
Okay, well, never mind that then.
Okay, that joke's out of the way. Fishing with range, I can't see the percentage that's sitting on. Was that 55% say yes? Okay, not.
Sounds yeehaw.
Oh no, why have you done that? No one wants to vote for that. You have the options of sounds yee-haw or sounds yellow-bellied.
I mean, we've got this over with now. We don't have to make the rest of the stream about this. It was embarrassing enough.
Well, you haven't said rootin' and tootin', have you?
All right, next question. Moho says, not trying to be rude, but can we please discuss future announcements/discussions like the PvP Championship or Wilderness Wars in separate streams? So his argument here was the PvP Championship we had to announce who was playing in the tournament, so we did so in a Q&A stream. Now, originally going into that, I expected that to be 5 minutes, maybe 10 tops, just pulling names out of a hat, putting them on a bracket, it's done. But that ended up taking, I think, like 20 minutes, and we were like, okay, that took longer than expected. So yes, going forward, when we find out through rehearsing or what have you, if we can manage our time a bit better, we will save streams that are 20 minutes plus in length for being their own occasion. However, we're not just going to justify a separate stream for a 5 to 10 minute thing. So today we're showing you Wilderness Wars. It's not going to take longer than 5 minutes. Mod Wolf, not longer than 5 minutes with Wilderness Wars?
7.
That's
7 minutes, that's fair. That's fair.
I think it's,
7, that is impressive.
bear in mind as well, we want to get the ELO system for future tournaments, so that would defeat the need for drawing names out of a hat, kind of. And as well, the tournaments are so few and far between. I think we're perfectly justified to dedicating some time in a weekly stream for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple notes here basically on it. Q&A streams are one of our best means to communicate announcements with the players. That goes without saying. We've done this for everything, even like mobile. Especially when many of the questions for that stream are relevant to that announcement. I imagine some of you guys have questions about Wilderness Wars. In fact, we've got a few in here. Also, we've done hundreds of these Q&As now, and the amount that have actually had an announcement or something like that have been like a very small handful. So realistically, it's not as big a deal as someone.
It's never just been a Q&A. We do sneak peeks every week showing off content. And
Yep. And yeah, they help kind of spice up the streams and add a little bit of variety. Anyways, moving on. Andre says, 2K Total Worlds have been struggling with the lag for almost a year now. Is there anything you can do about it? I spoke to somebody today about this to follow up, and they said they're going to follow up with an investigation. We've got a couple people to talk to. I don't have an answer. I only managed to do this earlier today, so I haven't got an answer for you yet, but it's something that we are going to be working on, and we'll hopefully have an answer back to you by potentially next week.
For what it's worth, they've tried quite a few things already, even if you can't tell, because we didn't put in a news post. We've had a go at fixing this, see if it works. Oh, didn't, because we can already see whether it makes a difference to what's going on there.
As far as sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say they've pursued quite a few things to turn out not to be the cause, and ruled them out, and narrowed it down to whatever the heck it was they were actually saying. I'm afraid it was over my head, but they've narrowed it down to things it isn't, and hopefully that means they can do something about the things it is. I'm afraid I don't have very much information on that.
The same story for PvP World as well. So we're slowly getting to the bottom of it, but it does take time to investigate and fix.
Yeah.
Also, taking the world offline and poking it is the kind of thing that kind of disrupts you even worse than bad lag.
You've lost them there. We got the question marks flying. Okay, if anyone wants to be more specific though, just tweet me. I'll check my mentions after this, but just more specific with what you mean by lag in the world. Do you mean just higher ping, things are taking longer to register, or is it spontaneous or sporadic? Like, what kind of lag are we dealing with? And maybe it'll help us get to the bottom of this. Moving on. Andre says, Fossil Island was planned for early September. Will this still be the case, or has it been delayed?
Looking good still. Mod Wolf has put his thumb up.
Okay.
It will be there,
Yeah.
I promise.
The thumb.
He's promised early September.
I want to give a date. I don't know if I'm allowed
Did you
to.
say what year?
I definitely can't give a date.
Oh, okay.
But
then
no,
yes.
it's looking pretty good.
Yes,
it looks
early.
All right.
so make sure you giddy up
good.
and get all your kudos ready.
Stop.
I will leave.
I will leave.
I'll go
We
home.
will all leave the Q&A to Kieren. All right. Toasted says, with Vile Smash activated, when using plant cure on a diseased herb, the vial does not get smashed and stays in your inventory. Is this intended?
It's drink like a barbarian, not plant crops like a barbarian.
Come on, in the middle of a farming run, you're not in a dire situation where you instantly need to be rid of your vials, like in the middle of
Quite
combat.
darky. Let me take my hat off. No, that's not changing anything. Whatever. Bubble says, can Lucky Implings be updated to only a roll on the unique drop table of all 4 tiers of clues instead of giving anything on a clue scroll? Anything a clue scroll can give. There it is.
Lucky Implings. Yeah. I think they need an improvement. They're clearly not good enough for how rare we've made them and how high the requirements are.
Stripping the non-unique stuff off the list seems to be a fairly popular approach to it.
A
Yeah.
lot of yeses in the chat there.
We'd have to actually write out a version of the drop table that doesn't have all the dross on, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd manage it.
Yes, I'm pretty sure as well.
Slaya says, who will make the month ahead posts now that Ronan is no longer a part of the old school team?
I was never clear how beneficial those were, given how often the month ahead is. You know all that stuff we just polled? We thought we'd do some of that, and then we'll see what you ask for and poll maybe that.
What's unfortunate about the month ahead posts is sometimes, well, we can decide on something within a week or two's notice. We're very agile like that. Or when we do decide on something and we want to pick a quarter for it to be in, we can't really be date specific. We certainly can't say in a month ahead or even a quarter ahead. We can't give you a date because obviously if we do and then something sets it back or it ends up coming forward, you've been given the wrong information.
Also, I'm not a big fan of planning the entire too much time ahead, because then when people get really excited about something and want us to do it, we might have to say, yes, but we promised you we'd do that this month, so and that next month, so we can't do this thing you're really excited about now. And you wouldn't necessarily thank us for that. Having more devs helps, of course. We've been able to get more people doing, little things, while Kieren, Maz, and I work on some big things, and Jed works on Wilderness Wars, so that you still get, regular updates of little game improvements, even alongside these bigger things we're working on.
I think in terms of communication, we're quite good as well. Like multiple posts on the website, whether a dev blog or news post. We have this every week. We're all very active on Twitter, Reddit, social media, RuneScape forums. I think we're very communicable.
There's almost never the time where we're working on something that we haven't told you about.
Yeah, it happens every 1st of April, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Let's grab some questions from the chat then. So first one says, how has Mod Delta's first few weeks been?
It's been pretty good. It's been pretty cool. I'm just out of training, more or less, and I get to work on my first sort of quality of life content and fixes for Fossil Island, so that's pretty exciting. Being actually able to contribute into the game, sort of give back to the players, so to speak.
Yeah. What do you say? It's been rootin' tootin'?
Yes, I'd say it's been rooting to.
Yeah!
No, it's been really good.
Are we allowed to share a little bit of development? Like, what is the first thing? Do they say, like, make an amulet of glory or?
So the things that I've been working on for this week, I think, was the Mystic Gem being automatically added on Rogue's Den, and the other one was the Slayer Helmet affecting the Abyssal Sire lungs as well.
Okay.
Spoilers, I was going to show that in the sneak peek of the week, bro.
Sorry.
Well, you can prove he's telling the truth or something, or
Yeah.
QA test it live on stream for extra pressure. That would be fun. Well, it was fun last week.
Pressure's on me now.
Yeah.
And small fixes for Fossil Islands, which I don't want to spoil just in case I mention anything that you haven't seen yet.
Enjoying it though. It's been good to actually do some things.
It's brilliant, especially even just testing the content, doing like playthroughs of stuff that's coming up and feeding back into it.
Because obviously you've been a lot less off. You're pretty much new to what we've been doing, right? We've been working on it the last 6-7 months.
Yeah.
While you're coming in, playing it fresh, and like one of the first players to essentially play it.
Pretty much, and it's nice to sort of have fresh eyes on it, sort of like new ideas for balancing, stuff like that. Obviously, my opinion's not universal, so to speak, but it's just an extra idea.
I was looking at your hat because someone in the chat said it was French.
Oh, I don't know. It might be. All right. No says, can you explain to us why we sometimes get disconnected for having too many connections from your address, quote unquote? Even if you are the only one playing on a single account. If you get that error, you instantly DC and have to reload your client. Speaking as somebody who's played fairly actively, like daily, for like a couple months now. I've never had this. So
I'm just wondering if some people have got themselves a third-party client that's trying to do something clever with their connection to send it somewhere beneficial for them, and that's confusing the system at the other end.
potentially, I play on our client.
We could talk to the play support team, the tech team. They may have heard of more reports of this.
I've mostly directed people there when they ask me about it on the grounds that, well, it's not something content developers are going to be able to solve because it's outside the content, and the support team is quite good about collating reports of things and working out where to escalate it to.
Okay. Just says, why was the blowpipe made irrelevant in Barbarian Assault? The quote-unquote bug wasn't really a bug, since you can use Chin and Crystal Bow the same way.
I guess that goes as far as that they are bugged too, technically. Like, the whole idea is that you're meant to use a weapon that is determined by what it's randomly chosen to. And using a blowpipe, which is probably one of the best DPS weapons in there, while just switching what arrows you have equipped, obviously isn't how it's meant to go. So, yeah, I believe Mod Tom H has been working on a new design to hopefully provide a better system for using range in there, and hopefully should avoid some of the grievances you have with the change. And obviously we apologise for not having that there in the first place and just launching with no replacement. What's everyone laughing at?
The chat was just like, who said that? Snitch. I was enjoying that method. Don't fix it.
We were aware of it.
All right. Another one from the chat then. Please add Trollheim teleport to player-owned house.
As in a portal?
Presumably. I did leave space for more.
Yeah, why not?
The other thing that we can keep doing, little things like that, but people have found that with the number of portals they want in there, they end up with having about 3 or 4 teleport rooms, and due to the fact those only have one door, that makes for a really clunky house. So I would like, if we had more dev time rather than doing these little things over and over, to try and create the Nexus room that was talked about, the teleport room that you only have one per house, but it can contain all the teleport destinations at once.
Be awesome.
Might as well
And the
have
design
that.
you had the portals in the corners, right? So you'd be able to have all the doors.
The door layout is really not a big deal for us.
Well,
We
if
can
it goes
stick a
everywhere, you
doorway.
don't even need a way out.
And if it's only one per room, only one of them per house, which should be fine,
Yeah.
then we can do more custom things like you do in the costume room.
I love your construction menu.
So-
I did my house recently, and just using that.
Thanks, I'm quite
awesome,
fond of
though.
that.
We ask if they want a Trollheim teleport. They're like, easy escape. We don't want that. Ash talks about the Abyssal Nexus. They're like, PogChamp, that's the greatest idea. That's not easy escape at all.
Well, it would have perhaps a more significant construction requirement and some costs than the existing portal room, I'm thinking. Because we can.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Moving on. Sir Sadude says, bucket packs in farm stores and ability to store noted farm supplies with the Leprechaun.
The noted thing on the leprechauns should be a fairly straightforward change. The bucket packs also shouldn't be a problem. I know people do want lots of those for a variety of reasons.
Spamming something in the Twitch chat doesn't make it happen, but the lottery is still something that we're
It's the point,
looking
though.
at.
But it's what keeps them talking in the chat.
You can also just say Frank or Z. There you go. Loom says, can the XP rates for mining amethyst be increased to 30 to 40k per hour? It's been dead content since release.
I'm pretty sure when we first announced it, and it was quartz at the time, wasn't the XP rate higher? And we lowered it in response to feedback? That seems to ring a bell. I might be mistaken.
It's not the first time, if so, that players have been worried that something's going to be massively OP and insist that we launch it really, really low and then complain that it's dead once they get it.
Yep.
The same with the Armadillo crossbow, I think. I'm sure if players are willing to accept a higher XP rate on it, it won't be a problem for us.
Okay.
Mind you, the aim, I think, was that people might want the items rather
Exactly.
than just bringing them into the game as a byproduct of doing training and not caring about the items at all.
Yeah, the intention was the provision of new ammunition rather than an XP rate there, which essentially was the XP rate comes from the buff in the guild itself. I think was the logic.
If only a new volcano with better XP rates were coming to mining. ... Fossil Island. Could that be Fossil Island? I'm joking. It's obviously Fossil. Okay, we got there. Where are we going to? Jason says, with the release of Fossil Island coming next month, have the team got any plans for big projects to follow?
Yes, and we will be delivering a lovely RuneScape reveals presentation at RuneFest, so you can watch that to find out more.
Please tune in.
Put on my sellout voice.
That's a great plug.
I wish we could talk about these things.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about what we're doing.
I hate keeping secrets. Oh, whatever. Panic says, can you make KDR resettable so I can see my KD for the day instead of having to do maths?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Just need to put a button on it somewhere with an appropriate confirm thing, of course. Of course, it hasn't actually got a custom menu at the moment. I think when it was implemented, the developer put it on a generic notice display interface.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
So most people don't even know where it is.
I think NA just say math. Am I wrong? I know that when I came here and I heard you guys say maths,
It's
I was
maths,
like, why are
yeah.
you making that plural?
Because it's
It is in this
mathematics.
country.
It ends in an S.
Yeah, more than one mathematic.
Okay. Could have had another opal on our hands. Where have we gone to? Phenom says, can we get a specialty item that works on the Sire's events the way that the Arclight works on Scotizo's altars, being a one-shot kill?
You know, I kind of figured with them getting a buff from tomorrow's update anyway, we'd maybe return to the topic of what other buffs to give them once players got that one. Although obviously that would be better if it's a one-shot kill.
I thought a nose in the chat.
Part of the fight's balanced around having to kill those lungs, and obviously it's a bit of a grievance because you can get unlucky and it takes an extra stun of the Sire, but yeah, as you say, the Slayhounds should relieve that.
Okay. How much longer till we get into the sneak peek? Maybe 10 minutes or so?
Let's do 20.
Okay. Fair enough.
Gotta keep you waiting.
No problem. Davy says, for the devs, are there any nightmarish places in Old School's code you dread to visit? Good question.
It's a lot of it.
I exorcised the construction code. I've seen a lot of the odd code lately when I've been installing Make All in so many skill features. Today I found the 12 separate bits of code for making pastry, for making dough. We've got the code for making bread dough with buckets of water, the separate code for making bread dough with jugs of water, and the separate code for making, etc. 3 different vessels of water you can use, and separate code for making, for doing the repeated actions with all of them for the 4 kinds of dough you can make. Which, you know, while installing Make All, there's now one piece of code that makes dough, and it knows what kind of dough you're trying to make, and it knows what kind of vessel you start with, and it empties it using the actual data it has for what the empty version of a vessel is. I can see a QA tester having a fit at the idea of testing this. So,
Rune crafting, I basically centralised all the central rune crafting code for standard rune crafting and for combination runes as well. And the combination runes, that was ridiculously bad. Like, so many different interactions. It's such a simple interaction for the player, but yet the code was jumping all over the place, using talismans on this and other types of runes on this, and it all jumped like separate code. It was an absolute nightmare. But it's so much nicer now. It's so good to go and just delete like 1,000 lines of code out of nowhere.
oh, very.
You redid ship chartering, Ash. I remember that
I
one.
did.
That was a huge rewrite. Like,
Yes.
ship chartering was complete spaghetti.
Yes, it had individual prices programmed in for everything with the calculations done over and over again. So if you are coming from this place and going to that place, then this is the basic price, but the developer has worked out what half of that will be for people who've got this kind of discount, and he's separately worked out what half of that again will be for people who've got this discount as well. And then he does all these calculations again separately, with all the checks being done again separately for people who are talking to the NPC at the time. This is separate from the code that deletes the coins and repeats all the calculations. So ripping that out, there was a lot less code when I was done. I think it's like one file yay long rather than 7 files yay long. I was glad to see the back of that.
This goes without saying that Barber Salt is probably the one place that no, I really don't want to go in Barber Salt code, and the bits I've rewritten have improved a lot. Like the calculations for what points you get at the end of the wave were done in like 7 times in different places. They did all the calculations once to display it on the interface, then did them all again when it gave you points. And this was separate code for the leaders and separate code for the rest of the team, and it was an absolute nightmare. Felt like wetting my whistle at the saloon after that one.
God. I know Mod Wolf showed me some of the cooking codes. What was it for? It was
Metal tea?
So rangers, instead of plugging in numbers for their burn chances, like you'd think it'd be one string of code and you'd have like, I don't know, maybe on the config defining their burn chances. No. There is code for every single bit of food on a range, and then on top of that, the cook's range is completely separate code with different numbers plugged in, instead of it just being the same code and altering the... Oh, it's so bad.
Say it, Chris.
Yeah.
They're asking you to say it.
I've seen it. Moving on. There it is.
It's just a ton of duplicate codes. They pretty much copy and pasted an entire page length's worth of code for the, I don't know, a minute change of 2 values for 2 different ranges.
There's one thing I'd like to chime in here. I like whichever devs make the config names easy. So to give myself an AGS, it's give AGS.
Credit
Nice.
to Mod Reach there.
Right? If I want to give myself an enchanted diamond bolt, does anybody remember?
Yep. Well, no.
What is it?
Expo _ crossbow _ runite _ diamond tipped or something like that.
Underscore enchanted.
It's
there you go,
absurd.
yeah.
It's like I can never remember that. I'm just
Yeah.
going to give myself bronze bolt.
We used to have the Grigris as the high point of awkward names, like the Grigri for small ninja monkey was MM_monkey _Grigri _4 _small _ninja _monkey. And people in the office used to say _monkey at the end of long sentences because it was now a running thing. But the crossbow bolt's just not that right out the ballpark.
All right, sorry,
I prefer
guys.
when they just match the name of the IO.
We're moving on. We're getting there. Here we go. Bataman says, is Zaya Batch 3 still on the horizon? If not, will we ever see the Zaya Achievement Diary?
We're going to complete that continent with something, even if it's not the original plan. Bear in mind that Zaya Batch 3 might have included, for example, the idea of the Tasakal, that volcanic race that was pitched back in 2014, I think, and the extreme combat scenarios that they would have introduced you to. And when we pitched something of the sort, players were very vocal that no, the Inferno should be a Tsar update, it should be in the Tsar area. So we did it there instead. But that doesn't mean we're going to leave, blank space on the edge of Zaya for the rest of eternity. We're going to put something there. Mod Wolf, I think, has some thoughts in mind. He's nodding.
Yeah. See the RuneFest reveals presentation.
I'm quite excited
can
about
say.
that one myself.
All right. Pizza says, could attaching feathers to arrow shafts be made similar as attaching feathers to dart tips? So attaching feathers to dart tips on mobile can be done just by clicking like this.
Yep.
Whereas with whatever the other combination was, you have a menu saying how many you'd like to make or whatever it is. So he wants to remove that menu to make it even more absurd when mobile comes out.
We might, to be honest, we might actually want to look at these things when mobile comes out if it's going to make XP rates for these things just skyrocket.
Well, yeah, you can do like millions of experience per hour.
Because everyone's going to be able to do this so easily.
I doubt you could do it for more than an hour though.
Oh, I know it's obviously
Ask
absurd,
a
but you don't need to do
friend.
it for long to get a ridiculous amount of XP,
As
do you?
opposed to doing an hour and then that's it. You've done 3 hours worth of XP.
Floenty Turg, who points out that make all is a thing. It's worth mentioning that we said we'd be putting make all where there is a make X. However, the thing for putting arrows on those shafts, which has a how many do you want to make menu, it doesn't offer make X. It's got 1, 5 and 10. Since it doesn't have make X, it's not getting a make all. Otherwise, you would be able to just set yourself doing an infinite stack of the things and walk off and wait for 6 hour timer.
And that sounds better than mobile.
Well, I think there's already something in cooking does that, but we are not offering to create any more as part of this update.
All right. where have we gone to? Michael says, since Karambwan fishing experience has been reduced to balance other methods, is there any chance we can have bait packs added to the shops since there is only 50 bait stocked per world? It's difficult to gather bait with competing players.
I think what we said for that was that we would like to definitely give you more bait, but we'd like to give you those little fish via fishing rather than shopping. And what we could do is make the rate at which you catch them massively higher. Doesn't mean the XP rate has to go up, but we could give you a lot more depending on your fishing level. And that might bring more into the game, but not just from clicking on shops.
I like that, depending on the fishing level. That's good. Let's get a few more from the chat then. Add Cerberus and Sire to the Slayer log.
They're on the boss log, right? I guess it's they sort of cross both boundaries. I don't know what the other Slayer bosses do. What does Kraken do? Is it on both? Or?
I thought it was.
I thought that the Sire was on both, but I'm probably mistaken. Because I looked over the code recently, but I'm sure we can add it if it's not there.
No harm in it.
Okay. Does a name change affect the likelihood of being chosen for the old school mobile beta? It's based on Apple iStore, Android, email, I think. What?
Which of this is the player's question? Which of it is the answer someone's
I
typed
think
in
the
for us?
question ends with, does a name change affect the likelihood of being chosen for the old school beta? And our response being, it's based on the iStore, Android, email, not username, so don't worry about changing your display name.
It's raining. Right. I wonder if they can see that.
Regardless, we can see what accounts the display name was associated with, so we'd be able to find your account anyway.
All right. Let's say this name. Autumn Smellogy is the name. Thanks, Ronan, for helping me gather questions today. What are some pieces of not so active content you would like to fix up when the opportunity arises? And do you have any specific ideas for how to go about it?
I actually put some stuff on Twitter about talking about different skills and what people do, feels need adding to make it a bit more fun. And I really like the idea for construction that came up about essentially getting a contract to build a house for someone. So they might want 3 bedrooms, they want a dungeon with a treasure chest at the end, and they want a boxing ring, right? And you would go and build that house to their specifications. You pass in the contract and you get a chunk of XP for it. And it would change up construction a little bit to be actually about building the house rather than build remove, which is why, obviously that's always been the meta, but it's a pretty awful way to train a skill, to be honest. I think out of all the skills in the game, it is the worst interaction in my eyes.
Which one is this?
Construction.
Oh.
Building and removing is a bit
not
of
a fan
a rubbish interaction.
Something to destroy it just a minute later.
I was going to say,
seconds even.
Can I just have the ability to buy the level that I want?
That's basically it is, right? I mean, buy remove, it just seems to be a blocker from getting from step 1 to there. And you don't achieve anything. You're not building a house, you're literally destroying as you build.
I love the contract idea of building a house or a completion bonus or rooms and so on. I think if you pitch that XP rate as being slightly lower than the build, remove, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see a lot of
it would get you to use a lot of different resources that are not really widely used in construction.
Sure. When you remove, you should also be able to save some supplies. Like, when you take down a big wooden cabinet, where does it go?
What about flat packs as well?
Mauritania.
Would we allow those in this sort of this new idea, or would we?
I don't know.
I'm quite fond of making them a little more useful for people. The idea that somebody might want to go and buy one and put into this house, and people might go and sell them onto the GE, who don't have the level to do everything else that might be needed for one of these houses.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought you were going to mention the brewery.
I do like the brewery as well. And the idea of having your own pub in your POH, I think that's awesome as well. And in there, you'd obviously have a brewing vat, and that probably necessitates us actually making brewing a bit more useful first before anyone would want it.
Well, the good thing is that farming timer rewrite I set off on as a personal project a while back. Once I've cleared make all, I hope to be able to finish that farming timer rework, and it would make the duration of a brewing vat actually predictable for the first time ever, since I mean, you look at the guide at the moment, it says it might be within a couple of hours or it might be 2 days. What the hell? So, I know why it's happening, and I can make it not, I think. So once that's done, we could maybe try applying some design to brewing, something that you can't really do at the moment when you've got a duration for the skilling activity that, with a variance of, 2,000%. And we might be able to make it not suck.
Yeah, getting matures easily.
That's something in the same vein, if Trouble Brewing, which gives you the stuff, if the stuff was worth having, because, say, it guaranteed you a mature and the ale's brewed in a more reasonable time frame, it might actually be worth going there for more than just trying to complete your costume room.
Yeah, definitely. I find it awkward that it's just called the stuff. And someone who isn't aware that it's called the stuff is probably really confused right now.
It makes sense if you're trying to write dodgy pirate dialogue for dodgy pirates and you want the stuff.
Okay.
Just doesn't always come across well in a chat box.
Yeah.
1 or 2 questions till we get into the sneak peek, yeah? 5 minutes? All right, cool. Bruh says, are there any plans to make changes to the poll system? So examples being hiding results or increasing limitations, etc.
It's been a while since we discussed the limitations with players. I'd like to run another survey about that one. Not necessarily on here, I mean in the poll booths.
I agree.
I think some people from the team did a little deep dive into polling sort of shortly before I joined, so I'm not too up to date with where we got with that, but it's something I'm quite keen on picking up, and I believe I will be picking up when we have more CM resource.
Yeah, I mean, what we did not that long back was pull a load of changes to it. And the 75% threshold was actually the hottest topic at the time, with so many players shouting that it was too high and they were missing out on updates as a result. Well, firstly, if an update doesn't pass, we write a different one. We don't just sit back and do nothing for the next month instead. But also, we found that of people who said they wanted it higher and people wanted it lower, the bulk of sentiment was that it was not in a bad place as it is, in terms of whether we should be doing more stuff unpolled. And we've certainly never got that high support on reducing it. But there's other things we could change. I would like to conceal the results before a poll is complete.
Yeah, I agree.
Although it wouldn't stop people with tracking through other software which way people vote in the polls and publishing their return. I suppose you call it an exit poll. But that's not the end of the world.
All right. Almond says, are there any Easter eggs in the game which remain uncovered? Crack the clue too.
It's been there all along.
Yeah.
I found some pretty obscure code for the Make X feature of moving nettle tea from a bowl into a china cup. This has a Make X feature, and it's going to get a Make All feature. Because that's what we set out to do. But I just wonder how often anyone gives a monkeys.
Tea code is also spaghetti. There's like all these different kinds of cups and stat boosts.
Oh my god, I made the POH tea for the first time as a player. And I was like, how many steps are there involved in this? I've got to have the right shells for the right cups. I've got to boil the kettle.
You guys are just making it sound like all code in RuneScape is absolutely garbage.
Yeah, you can just hire a servant for that, though.
Yeah.
Okay, which
Probably
piece of
quicker.
content has the best code?
Sorry?
Which piece of content has the best code? Don't say something you've done.
don't
Unless it is.
know.
Unless it
I find
is.
it rather hard to
Best
answer this
code.
question then.
It's a harder thing to say best code.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
I haven't read it all.
Slay is pretty good. And we've all been in there.
I like the Inferno code.
When you were explaining raids to me, I thought that the solution you had was extremely elegant.
Thank you.
So, in my opinion, that would be the best code.
It was remarkably good because it made it was so modular that I could plug in a room no problem at all. So could Mod Jed, who was brought on the project very late to make a new room.
I did like the bit where you were working on a room, he was working on a room, and I was fixing bugs in other rooms, and we never collided at all.
Ulby says, when the servers are experiencing disruption like recently, would it be possible to put a message in the login screen saying this?
Thing is, the game world itself doesn't know it's under load. Because obviously people know we do have some measures out there to try and stop these attacks getting as far as the game world and filter them out early up the stream. And that means that the game world isn't seeing the load. It's just not seeing very much of anything because the good traffic is no longer getting through at all. But it doesn't know that that's because there's been an attack and something's bottlenecked further up the stream. All it knows is, a lot of players seem to have just logged out recently. And it could guess, well, that seems a bit dodgy, I'm probably being DDoSed. And yet it actually happens all the time whenever a clan logs out or world hops or whenever we send a reboot signal, all the players log out because they want to. And we get all these, this world might be getting DDoSed alerts. Because all the world knows is people seem to be logging out. So we're a bit cautious about programming the world to start acting differently because people have logged out recently. It's not the criterion people will be looking for, and it's also something players can fake if they feel like it. So I'd be very hesitant to start trying to make the world guess what's going on and start giving official notifications to inform players of what it thinks is happening when there's so many reasons that the information giving out could be wrong. Anyway, I got most of that from Mod Philip, was it? The engine dev before Mod at Jagex Titan Mod Atlas. When we was asking him to try and make death work differently when the world was under load, and it sounded like a nice idea. Make the world treat people safely, don't delete items on death or something if the world's in this situation. But given that the world doesn't know it's in this situation, having the world make an educated guess seemed like a really, really bad idea, which it's less of a problem for putting messages on the login screen, but all the same, having the world try to give you guys information that might just be a load of guff doesn't usually end well.
Okay, very valid answer. I believe it is now time for the sneak peek of the week, so Mod Wolf will be joining us shortly to preview Wilderness Wars as well as tomorrow's updates.
Hello, you're right. Shortly? What do you mean shortly? That's
pretty short.
No, that was very short of an intro, that's true. Hello, welcome to the sneak peek of the week. I will be showing you this week a couple of things for tomorrow's update, but more importantly, I'll also be showing you some stuff for Wildy Wars, so that'll be exciting. You'll notice I'm in the login screen today, which doesn't usually happen when I do sneak peeks, and that is because Mod Atlas, Titan, what's his mod name now? Titan, God?
It's Mod Atlas at Jagex Titan.
At Jagex Titan, okay. He's been working on a couple of new things when you log in. You'll notice 2 new buttons. Remember username, which is awesome. People have been asking that for absolutely ages. And we've also got one that says hide username, which will obfuscate it. Obviously, if you want to stream or something, you want people to know your username or your email, which is absolutely epic. I'm going to log into Mod Rock's account, hopefully. Unless he's changed his password. That'll be awkward. Oh my gosh. No. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. That might be my... I know, scuffed again 2 weeks in a row. I'm so sorry. Okay, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to log into... I can't even log into my account. Kira, what's your... Give me a test account.
Ashby, 3_ live.
Live.
And the password is Ashby.
Leaked password. Ashby.
Do any testing on our local servers with my account.
Awesome. There we go. Fantastic. So, conveniently, we have a dark bow here because I believe you were tinkering with it earlier. The first thing I want to show you all is inside the options menu now. Over here in advanced options, there are 2 new toggles. One for prayer tooltips and one for special attack tooltips. If you hover over your prayer icons, it shows you your tooltips like usual. If I toggle it off, it won't show it anymore. Same with the spec attack. If I have it toggled off, it won't show the toggle, the tooltips for that matter. And if I have it toggled on, it'll show them. On top of that, Mod Tom H has been adding to every single spec weapon in the game exactly what they do on their tooltip. So if I hover over Darkbow, Descent of Darkness, it specifies it deals a double attack that inflicts up to 30% more damage with a minimum damage of 5 per hit, which is correct, I believe. And the Dragon Halberd, similarly, Sweep, it explains exactly what it does. And Modrock is looking at me. Oh, the password's 1 instead of tester. Right, that'll be why I couldn't log into a Modrock's account, which makes perfect sense. So I can show you a couple more, and then I'll move on to Rock for 1. That's why we couldn't log in. Thank you, Modrock. So here's a lot more items which we were using to test. So Slice and Dice, good old Dragon Claws. I found out today that Abyssal Dagger lowers your accuracy. I didn't know that until we added it to the tooltip. So might be worth learning some things you might not know about some special attacks. Anyway, on top of that, as Mod Delta mentioned, the Abyssal Sire will now, the respiratory system will take extra damage if you're wearing a Slayer helmet, which is awesome. And Brian or Richard inside of the Rogue's Den will automatically give you the gem when you attempt to enter if you don't have it, which is pretty useful, I think. But that's all I'm going to show you for tomorrow's updates. I'm going to move on to the Wilderness Wars update, which will be on Saturday, I believe. So, exciting stuff. I'm actually going to get rid of this spectator, and in fact, I'm going to show this account first. So, if you're playing inside of the tournament and you're a fighter, you'll log in and you'll have to redeem your code again. I have a handy little debug cheat right here, which is Wild Wars _ redeem. And what team should I be on? Torvesta, Boaty, Sicknerd, Nightonators, or Curses? See what they spam. Whose team should I be on?
Winning Wilderness Wars.
Who's going to win? Yeah. Well, obviously Sick Nerd, so I'm going to go on Sick Nerd's team.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be a champion. So I will pretend to be Sick... Oh, no, actually, I'm on Nightonator's team because I put 6 in. Never mind, I'm on Nightonator's team.
Okay.
I typed the wrong number, don't worry. After you've redeemed your code, you'll be given a highlight colour and a cape. And you'll have, there's 5 portals, barriers here, that you can go through depending on your team. Nightonator's is purple, or pink, I don't know what colour that you'd call that. And over here, you can set up exactly what you're doing if you're a fighter. There is an altar to change your prayer books, and tournament supplies. Now, the tournament supplies are a little bit different than the ones that you find on most tournament worlds. They've been limited specifically for Wildy Wars. And they also have some unique interactions with some of the bosses that I'll show you in a second. So I'm going to withdraw some of them now. What am I missing? I'm missing that. I'm going to take that out as well. And I'll take that out. Weapon. I'm missing that and that and that. Awesome. As the spectator over here, I'm going to start the match. And we're going to pretend like there's 50 people in each army, as well as all 5 champions online. So we're going to start Wilderness Wars. And as I was Nightonator... Oh, this is the interface, by the way. I think ModJed did a great job on this interface. This is what you guys will be able to see on the day. There'll also be some other things probably put up post-production, but this is an incredible spectator tool to be able to see how many people are left in the army. Nightonator has 1 person. It also shows a health, teleports for the spectators, which is excellent. And you'll notice that Nightonator has started over here. We do actually have a picture as well that I believe we've tweeted out already of where all of the champions are starting their locations. We can probably get that maybe. Modron, is that all right? Can you get the... No, we'll get to that one in a minute, actually.
The other one isn't gone out, so I can't grab it.
Oh, that's okay. So please do check out the old school Twitter if you want to be able to see where their starting locations are. And now that we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the bosses. So I'm going to make myself not able to die, because that would be embarrassing. I'm not going to scuff this stream any further, because I've clearly messed up earlier on. And make sure I don't die. And I'm going to go to the location of one of the new bosses. 0, 47, 57, 62, 42. So I believe that this is going to take me to the armor boss. Now, the armor boss looks an awful lot like Callisto, because it is Callisto, the model. But he has a substantially larger health pool of 1,500. And when you kill him, the armor that you're wearing will upgrade for the entirety of your team. So fighters, all of your armor will be upgraded. For a champion, all armor in your inventory as well will also be upgraded to different things depending on the armor that you have. So I'm going to show you now. If I just cheat again and go max me and instantly kill this, because I'm a champion, all of my armor will upgraded, even stuff that I'm not wearing. Here we go. And there we go. So all my my black dragonhide armor has turned into Carol's. My runite has turned into Torags, and the skirt turned into a Verax plate skirt. My boots have turned into dragon boots. You get the point. We also have a tweet that we've just put out that'll show you all of the upgrades, which is right there. No, there. There you go. Oh, there you go. Which will show you everything that'll be turned into, depending on whether or not you're a fighter or you're a champion. I'm going to go ahead and teleport to the weapon upgrading boss and show you that as well. 57, 3, 13. And similarly, when I kill this, if you're a fighter, it'll upgrade the weapon that you're wearing. And since I'm a champion in this scenario, I'm technically Knightinator right now. It'll upgrade all. Sorry, I need to put my cheat on. It'll upgrade all of my weapons. On top of that, as you can probably see inside of the infographic that was just up, there's a couple of unique items that will only be upgraded if you're a champion. So the Dragon Dagger will turn into a Dragon Claws. The Scimitar turns into a Tentacle Whip as opposed to an Abyssal. And there's one more. The Granite Maul turns into an Elder Maul, as you just saw there. Finally, you can see the timer top right here. The fog will bring all champions and armies to the final fighting point, the fight arena, which I'm going to show you now. I believe, where is it again, Chris? The Shadows area. Yeah. Yeah, the Graveyard of Shadows, which I'm going to take you to right now. This will be the final fighting location for all champions and armies. Here we are. And there you go. I think that's everything. Starting locations, weapon upgrades, armor upgrades, everything you need to know if you're inside of the tournament, if you're a champion, and if you're a fighter. Good luck. Oh no, I lied. There is more. We've actually changed some things for champions as well. So if you're a champion, which I am right now, I'm technically Knightinator, I believe that I have a couple of extra benefits. I have the all damage against me is halved, no matter what. All damage is halved instantly. On top of that, all freezes from Ice Barrage, Blitz, etc. will last half the amount of time. We've also took the opportunity of fixing Chinchompers, specifically only in this tournament world, so it's all the same in the rest of the world. But if you don't know, Chinchompers' area of effect damage previously didn't calculate defenses. It does now for this world. And finally, we've also halved all of healing from things like Blood Barrage, Blood Blitz, etc. So don't expect champions to just stand still and Blood Barrage 50 people and hope for the best. So there you go. Oh, yes. So the cape as well, there should be an amulet, right? No, it's just the cape. The cape itself, no, it's an amulet.
It is an amulet. It's in the chest.
Did I leave it in the chest?
Yeah, you left it in the chest.
Oh, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Oh, there's also an amulet that champions will be able to take out of the chest. Please make sure that you take it out of the chest, otherwise you'll look as silly as I do. They give a huge amount of stats, stat bonuses. We'll tweet out the stat bonuses as well, so that you'll be able to see that. And I think that actually is everything for you guys to know. So best of luck. I actually think that legitimately Sick Nerd might win, but that's just me. So yeah, best of luck. Thanks for watching the sneak peek of the week. The sneak peek of the week. There you go. Going back to the couch.
Hey. So I'm going to give a very quick rundown of what exactly Wilderness Wars is, because I know some of you guys are going, what the heck is this? So Wilderness Wars is an event that we're hosting on Insomnia 61 this weekend, Saturday, 4 p.m. BST from the RuneScape Twitch channel. We've invited 5 of our favorite UK local guys to play on stage, sitting right next to each other, and we've given them codes. These codes they've been able to give out to their favorite people in the game, or clans in some cases, or friends, or what have you, to play for them as their army. They are commanding their army as the captain or the general. So we'll have 250 people on the map going head-to-head with those bosses. As you saw, they can kill the bosses to get upgraded gear or weapons, and they have to go out and basically be the last general standing. Players who end up killing a general, that is, players who receive a kill message for killing a general, will be awarded $2,500 as a cash prize, and the last standing general will get $5,000. Now, if a player ends up killing a general and does the most amount of damage, but dies beforehand, they're ineligible to win that prize. If you are going to do the most damage to a general, you need to stay alive. If you die, that $2,500 is going back and stacking onto the $5,000 that goes to whichever remaining general stays live the longest. It's up to them to deal with the money how they please. If Sick Nerd wins and he ends up walking away with 10 grand, he can either take that to the bank or he can give it away to the people who helped him bring him to the victory, whatever he pleases to do. But again, that's pretty much, in a sense, what's happening. The generals, as Modwolf mentioned, are essentially going to be walking around as bosses. They're super strong. They can stomp through people, but if they get taken down by an army of 50 people, they lose it for their team. As soon as the general dies, their entire army of 50 dies. They lose. Right? So we might have a 1v1 of 2 generals last standing in that ring.
Yeah.
Or it might be a clean sweep. We might have somebody's team run through and just destroy everybody.
So as a fighter, as much as you want to sit there and kill the other army leaders, you've got to also protect your champion. Otherwise, you will be out yourself.
I think like what might happen is like a champion is going to just run to the corner really far away and then leave their minions to do all the bidding for them.
And just
but then
hide.
Somebody might be on the flank, like a team of like 3 or 4, come by and take out the champion. That's going to be sick.
Yeah,
Anyways.
and to address some of the spam I saw, which is like area too small, consider that the number of participants in Wilderness Wars is far, far lower than Deadman
Yes.
Final Hour. Additionally, we're encouraging combat around the final area, prior to the final area rather, through the advent of the 2 bosses to get armor, to get weaponry. So
Yep.
I think the final area will suffice, to be more than sufficient.
That final area is only there and it's only so small just in case people don't fight, realistically. That's why we've got the fog pushing them together. So hopefully people actually fight. If they don't, I'm going to have to pat them on the back and say, go do something. You're boring.
Yeah. By the way, if you're a general watching, you need to make sure you've given all your codes out by some point tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, I've told them that. Okay, sorry guys, we're going to move along then. OP says, what causes odd pathing? When clicking to go somewhere, does the game decide the fastest route or what happens?
The game would usually try for just the straight line around whatever obstacles there are. You're going to find a few odd things, especially if there's, blocking NPCs would totally muck it up and always have done. That's a legacy thing. Back when route finding was done client-side rather than server-side to save load on the servers, blocking NPCs like those temple gorillas in A Patrol, the client couldn't navigate you around those because they kept moving. So it just walked you straight up to them and you got stuck. And even though route finding is now done on the server, courtesy of Mod Philip, we chose not to have that change because it was such a familiar part of the game. There's also scenery that deliberately interferes with route finding. So in the elf area, when you walk along those paths and you find the leaf traps, it's just like a 3x3 grid of leaves on the ground. There's walls there, but they muck up the route finding so that you'll try to navigate right through them and fall in the trap. And that's how the developer implemented it rather nicely, I thought. If there's somewhere else in particular, then, it would depend on what the scenery is doing around there. But we do know there's some asymmetry in the way the game calculates line of sight and line of walk. You'll often find, I think, that you can be around a diagonal usually. You can reach your opponent, but they can't reach you, or vice versa. Now, while we could have the algorithm changed to be symmetrical, so if I can see him, he can see me, and vice versa, which would make sense. What we don't know is what knock-on effects that would have. If you change the definition of who can see what, and it affects the whole game, because it wouldn't be just for that one tile, it would be for the whole game. Any safe spot might be affected by that. And it's a kind of sweeping change which we'd be very, very cautious releasing, because we wouldn't be able to check all corners of all caves or everywhere there's a tree to see whether it still has a safe spot like people are used to. So you'd have to be really sure you wanted that kind of change before we could let the engine team go and do that for us. But I bet they could.
All right. Maybe one for you, Modsween. How have the Fossil Island login screen submissions been coming? All I've seen are memes.
I've actually seen some really good ones. I shared a few in the internal messaging program we use for inside Jagex, and so we saw that one on Reddit last week, which saw really positive reactions, and I kind of thought personally that was going to just run away with it. But today we saw some really good submissions. I will be compiling them by the end of today before I leave here, and then putting a poll out next week, I believe.
Okay, that's exciting. Players get to vote on which one they like the most.
I believe that's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I've got to say though, there are some terrible ones. And I hope to share
Some of them, I don't know how they ended up drawing it.
I hope to share some good ones and some not so good ones.
No, don't let them vote on the bad ones. Those are going to win. All right, maybe last couple of questions here. What does the team think of all these requests to add more rings to the game? Ring of Bones makes you look like the bones in the game. It's a great troll. It's a bad idea.
I'm not keen
like that.
personally.
The ring of all boss drops. So you equip it, and it looks at what boss room you're inside, and then has a lookup table for which item it should turn into, such as an Armadale hilt or an Elysian sigil, or etc. And it will also fake a broadcast out to the people in that room. You could go that far, but it feels a bit much.
Kieren asked me this before the stream. I said no.
I did write some code once that would let us generate what looks like a loot notification from a boss saying that you'd got whatever the high-profile item would be from that boss, and then about 5 seconds later, it would change the text in your chat history to say, better luck next time. We decided not to launch that last April, but I think it would have got a response. Possibly a horrible one.
All right. Well, we're going to save some of these questions for next week. But that being said, guys, that is just about going to... What's up?
Tweet out the amulet.
We're going to tweet out the amulet.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. That's going to conclude our stream today. Again, Wilderness Wars is happening this Saturday, August 26th, I think it is.
Yes, it is.
4 p.m. BST on the same Twitch channel. Don't go anywhere. Well, go somewhere, I guess, but come back at that time.
And if you added Somnia, there'll be a bunch of us there. And
yeah, we'll
come
have
say
a booth
hi.
there for the whole event.
Yeah.
Come and say hi. Apart from that, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the weekend.
Time to skedaddle.
Jesus.